Hello friends, bonjour les amis. Today we are going to be making bubble art and learning a little bit about colors. So let's get started. Okay friends, let's start off by going over what we're going to need for this activity. So we're going to need some paper, du papier, or maybe even the sketchbooks that we made in the last video, les carnets à dessin. The next thing that we're going to need is acrylic paint, or la peinture acrylique. We're also going to need some soap, du savon, a couple of cups, des tasses, a little bit of water, de l'eau, some straws, and this is called la paille. I'll show you later how to make a paper straw if you don't have plastic ones. We just happen to have some leftover plastic ones at home. It's better to use paper, or if you even have reusable ones, if your parents are okay with you using them with acrylic, then use those as well. But since we have plastic straws, we're going to be using those. Something to mix everything with, I'm using a plastic fork, again, just because I keep this for mixing stuff that I don't want to eat. And then that is it. So let's move on to the next step. So the first step is we're going to take notre tasse, our cup, and we're just going to put one pump of soap into our cup, du savon. Just like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take whatever color acrylic that we're going to use. Now for this step, I've also seen people use watercolor and food dye. I have acrylics, so that's what I'm going to be using. It works well, but if you don't have these, you can also use food dye or watercolor and just kind of play around with it a little bit. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your acrylic and you're just going to want to squeeze a good portion in there. This is just super cheap craft acrylic, and it works well. So you can see here, I've put in a decent amount. And then after that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to take our little bit of water. I'm going to try my best not to spill here, and pour in just a little bit. And take our fork and we're going to mix it all together. We're going to mélanger toutes les choses qu'on a mis dans la tasse. All right? And in the end, what you're going to have, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to show, but once you start seeing it like froth a little bit, get those little bubbles, you'll know that you've mixed it enough. There we go. All right. And then you can kind of see here, you can see that it's a good color consistency. So we're just going to put that down there, and then we're going to move on to the next step. All right, so first things first, I'm going to show you how to make your paper straw, la paille. So I just have this little piece of paper here that I cut into a quarter of the size. So I just folded a paper in half twice and then cut that out. So essentially all you need to do in order to create a paper straw for this activity is you just roll it up like that, because the thing is that you're not going to need to drink through this because we're not going to be drinking anything for this activity. So essentially, you can see here, you have a clear hole down through the middle, and that is all you need to make. You're going to need to hold it because, as you can see, as soon as I let go, it explodes. But it is effective, it works, and yeah, it works just as well as a plastic straw. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so I've just done the same thing that I did for the blue for all the colors. So I currently have some red, some yellow, and some blue. Rouge, jaune, et bleu. So these are what we call primary colors, which means that we cannot mix other colors to get these colors. So as we know, red and yellow make orange. Rouge et jaune fait l'orange. Red and blue makes purple. Rouge et bleu fait violet. And yellow and blue makes green. Jaune et bleu fait vert. Okay, so as you can see, I've put a paper towel underneath because it very often, when you're doing this activity, it spills over. So you're going to want to have something underneath it to kind of minimize the messiness of this activity. So I just threw a couple paper towels underneath. You could also put it maybe on a cookie tray, or maybe even do this outside if it's a nice day. This would be a really fun activity to do outside on your driveway. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to take our straw. So I'm gonna have, just to show you how both of them work, I'm gonna use one plastic straw, and then I'm also gonna re-roll this paper straw here that I showed you how to make earlier, just to kind of show how it works. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna start with blue, I think. Bleu. And then basically, remember, we're going to exhale. We're going to souffler. We're not going to drink this concoction because that would be very bad. So remember to breathe out. All right, so as you can see, this works really well. We have a nice amount of bubbles here. And it works just as well as this straw would. So if I do use the straw on the red, there we go. So as you can see, they both produce bubbles and they both look really good. So I'm just gonna do the yellow real quick. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side there. And this is where we get to the fun part. This is where we take our sketchbook or a piece of paper and we basically just put it right down on top. And when we lift it up, you can see it might be a little bit hard to see. I'll take a picture of it and then kind of do a still frame here. But we have the bubble effect from the acrylic. So we're gonna do it again because it's more fun when you do it multiple times on the same piece of paper. So let's get to it. So something to keep in mind is that if you find that you are blowing the bubbles and that they are not, when you put the paper down, it's not coming out super strong, remember that you can always adjust as you go. So if you feel like your mixture needs a little bit more paint, then go ahead and add more paint and mix that right on in. This is not an exact science. So definitely play around with it, get different amounts of soap, water, and acrylics in there until you find something that works really well for you. In the beginning, I didn't have enough acrylic paint for the red. So I had to add a little bit more in there so that I could get a more prominent color. And I had added enough of the blue, which means that the blue was showing up super well. So definitely I would say typically 1 pump of soap is more than enough, but play around with the water to acrylic ratio because it can be a little bit tricky to get it just right. But once you do, the effects are super cool. All right, so as you can see here, I've blown into all 3 of them so that they connect. And this is where you're gonna be getting your kind of overlap from your colors to create those new colors. So let me just put this down on here and then see. Now, if you look here, it's a little bit hard to see, but the purple didn't work out too well, but you can see a little bit of overlap here between the blue and the red. You can also see very clearly down here between the blue and the yellow, you have this really nice green color. And then the orange, the red and the yellow didn't overlap a ton, and the red isn't super strong, so we didn't really see that there, but depending on the acrylics, you might have different effects than I did. You might have brighter colors, but either way, you can clearly see the blue is kind of the most powerful color here. But basically what you're gonna do is you're just gonna continue kind of blowing into these, creating those bubbles, and then putting your piece of paper on top until you've created a really cool effect that you like. Now, I just use the primary colors. If you have different colors, can use the different colors. So if you have a green that you really like, or purple, orange, pink, any of those, you can use those colors in place of the 3 colors that I just used. I just use these because these 3 colors can make any other color except for white. All right, good job everyone. Bien fait tout le monde. So now that we've created this amazing work of art, that is truly amazing because every single time it's different. You're gonna get a different effect every single time because every single time that you create those bubbles, they're gonna appear in a different pattern. So experiment with it, have fun, use different colors, try different color combinations, see if you can make these colors that are made from these primary colors. See if you can get the green, the purple, and the orange. But for now, it's time for us to sign off. So, most important step of any fun art project is that we have to clean up at the end. We have had a lot of fun here making a mess, and now it's time to clean that mess up. So I'm gonna get started on that, but have a good day everyone, and bye friends. Au revoir les amis.